Hi, today we're going to talk about Chapter 8, Web Server Hardware and Software. Just some basic information about web servers. There's client-server architecture that is used in LANs, WANs, and the web. And LAN is a local area network. A WAN is a wide area network. And then we have, of course, the web servers. And what client-server means is there is a computer on one side that is controlling everything, which is the server. And then there's a client piece on individual computers, such as ours, um, that actually connects to the server to get the information. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But server computers have more memory. They're larger. They have faster disk drives than the client computers that they serve. And client computers is what we use. A web browser is a type of web client software. So for us to connect to a web page, we have to use some sort of a web browser. And that could be Firefox, or it could be Chrome, or it could be Microsoft Edge. Platform neutrality is the ability of a network to connect devices using different operating systems. And this happens. Some of us are using Microsoft, some of us are using Apple, some are using Linux. So it doesn't, the platform will accept all of those. The web server's main job is to respond to web client requests. So the main elements of the web that's involved in the web server is the hardware, the operating system software, and the web server software. So we have to have the hardware, and then we have to have the operating system software, such as Microsoft, Windows 10, or if it could be Apple iOS or Linux, and then we have the web server software. A server is any computer providing files or making programs available to other computers connected to it through a network. And the servers will run server software, which is what makes these programs and allows us to connect to these files. Excuse me. Some servers connect to the internet via a router, and that is a piece of equipment that allows us to a client to connect to the internet and then to a server, but also servers have to connect to the uh, internet also, and they do that via a router. Email server is what handles incoming and outgoing email. A database server runs database management software. Transaction server runs accounting and inventory management software. So basically, we have different types of servers. And so a server describes several types of computer hardware and software. And again, this could be a server could be referred to as hardware, and it can also be referred to as software. Web browser is what requests files from web servers, and it uses the internet as the transportation medium. There's a request that's formatted by your browser using HTTP, and then that's what's sent to the server computer. HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and it's just a protocol that allows our browsers to connect to the server computers. So servers receives a request, it retrieves the requested web page file, it formats the information using HTTP, and then it sends it back to the client over the internet. So this happens every time you try to connect to a web page. All of this happens. The basic model for web client server architectures is a two-tier client server architecture where you have one client and one server computer. The request message is the web client message sent to the request files from a web server that consists of three major parts. The request line contains the command, target resource, name, protocol name, version number. Optional request headers contain file type information client accepts. And the optional entity body is used to pass bulk information to the server. Every time you connect between your machine, your computer, and to another computer on the internet, it goes through these different request processes. You never see it, it all runs in the background, but from an IT perspective, this is what IT people are looking at. Now, this is an example where a message flows in a two-tier client-server network. A server receiving request messages executes commands included in the message. So this is on the server receiving it. It retrieves the web message file from the disk, creates a response message to send back to the client. It's identical in structure to the message. Three-tier architecture allows additional processing before server responds to client's requests. We just kind of looked at just the two-tier. Now this is the three-tier. Often includes databases and related software applications that supply information to the web server. So there's just a third piece in there. The web server uses software applications output when responding to client requests. N-tier architectures have more than three tiers. So N-tier represents a number. So it could be 4-tier or 5-tier. These would include architecture that would include shopping carts or software to look up sales tax, or maybe some type of inventory database. This is an example of how a message flows in a three-tier client-server network. Electronic mail and email, we use this all the time. Email is used to gather information, execute transactions, and perform electronic commerce tasks. This is the reason people originally were attracted to the internet. Email, excuse me. It conveys messages in seconds with attachments, often the most important part, and it's the most popular form of business communication. There's some drawbacks that include the time spent answering emails, and it can take, if you're in a corporate environment, you may spend 2 hours of your day answering emails. Email attachments can be or contain a computer virus, so you have to be careful with that. And email is the most frustrating and expensive problem with email is spam. In 2009, that was the peak year for spam. In one 24-hour period, it showed 220 billion spam email messages spent. Spam growth has leveled off, and legal and technical solutions. There have been laws passed about it. Benefits reaped by spam will make it attractive. It reduces reducing spam approaches. It requires passing laws. One of the problems in this, just a side note, is United States doesn't own the internet. No one owns the internet. So we may pass a law against spam, but sometimes it can be hard to enforce if it's coming from another country. But there's ongoing organizations that are constantly trying to make it so that it's more hard for spammers to reach us. You can, as an individual user, you have some anti-spam tactics that you can use. Using a complex email address will reduce the chance that a spammer can automatically generate it. Of course, the downside of that is you have to remember that email address. So That's not always the easiest thing to do. Spammers often use software robots that search for email addresses on discussion boards and chat rooms. So again, the more complex your email is, a little bit more difficult it is for the robots to pick up. You can use multiple email addresses, switch to another if spammers use one. I keep one. It's a Hotmail account, and that is what I use to sign up for all the free offers, so to speak, or if I have to sign up for a maybe some type of an app I think I want to use, but I'm not sure. I will use, I call it a throwaway email. And that way, if I start getting spammed, it doesn't bother me. I'll just stop using it. You could also use content filtering. Content filtering techniques are different in terms of content elements examined. So basically, you have client level filtering, which your individual computer uses, and there's server level filtering, which is part of your mail server computers. There's software that you can load on your own computer, third-party software, or in your email. You'll see that there's junk email, and you can flag certain senders as junk, and it won't continue to come in. In January 2004, the U.S. CAN spam law went into effect, and the spam did decrease the first 2 months, but it returned to the previous levels because there was no threat of federal prosecution. Again, it's hard to enforce if it's coming from somewhere else. There have been some spammers that have been prosecuted, and they've been fined and received jail time. Legal solutions have had only limited success on this. Website utility programs, you can get utility programs. TCP/IP is what supports utility programs. I think we talked about TCP/IP last week. It's the protocol that allows us to communicate on the internet, and it's run on web servers or client computers. It stands for Transfer Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. Email was the earliest internet utility program, and it's basically the most important utility. Web servers will capture visitor information and place it into a web log file. This is under data analysis software. So our web servers will track information. So that's how they get information about where you've been and what you've done on the web, how many people have went to this website, or so on. And some popular weblog file programs are Adobe Analytics, Google Analytics, and Web Trends. A wide variety of computer brands for web server hardware. You can use different brands, types, sizes. A lot of different ones are used to host online operations. Small companies may even run their websites on their desktop PCs. You can also contract out with companies that will host your website, and sometimes it's a lot easier to do so for like a monthly fee. Server computers generally have more memory, larger and faster hard drives, faster processors than what we use on a daily basis for our computers. And companies may spend $2,000 to $50,000 on an individual web server. And this is just a picture of, these are rack-mounted blade servers, which are more expensive, but this is a server room. And as you can see, there's quite a few servers in there. So I'm going to leave you with this image here. So this is, could be an image of web servers that are that you may be accessing on the internet.